Hey guys, today we have our last lesson on our quadrilaterals. So the last quadrilateral on your formula sheet that you should have seen is a trapezoid. So for today, the formula is on your formula sheet, but I'm going to remind you of what it is. So a trapezoid is actually just a quadrilateral, so four-sided figure with at least one pair of parallel sides. So if you're looking at my trapezoid here on the screen, these two sides right here are going to be your parallel sides. So if they extended forever, they would never touch. These two sides, they would intersect at some point if they can extend it on further, so those are not parallel. So it has one pair of parallel sides, so you are good to go. It is a trapezoid. So the formula for area of a trapezoid, area equals 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. So that 1 and 2 are just subscripts. We've talked about those before. So you just find one of your bases and you label it whatever one that you want. So if I'm looking at this, my 1/2, I don't think I mentioned this before, but if you're using a calculator, I would just use 0.5 for the 1/2. Makes it so much easier when you're trying to figure it out. The h is the height of the trapezoid, and always keep in mind the height of the trapezoid makes a 90-degree angle, or kind of like a corner, with your bases. So in this situation, the height is going to be 5 inches. So I'm going to write that down. And then B1 is just base 1, and B2 is just base 2. It honestly does not matter what one you give base 1 and base 2 to. It's just you have to label them one way or the other. So I'm going to label this B1 and this B2. So that tells me that B1 is 13 inches and base 2, or B2, is 7 inches. So we need to find the area of our trapezoid, so we're going to plug everything we know into our formula. So A is the area, that's what we're looking for, so that stays the same. 1/2, I'm going to write 0.5 just to help you out, and so you can punch it right into the calculator. But now our 0.5, or 1/2, is being multiplied to our height, which we know is 5. And then we have to multiply that to the sum of our two bases. So 13 and 7 are our two bases. So we have to follow order of operations. So we are going to do our parentheses first. So area equals 0.5 times 5 times whatever 13 plus 7 is. 13 plus 7 is 20. So now you want to go and you're just multiplying everything from left to right. I like to do it one step at a time. 0.5 times 5, or half of 5, is 2.5. And then you're multiplying that by 20. So your area is 50 square inches. Okay, so the formula is a little bit more complicated, but same thing, just plugging everything you know into it after you figure out all of the variables. So one more example of a trapezoid. This one looks a little bit different because it has a side that is a 90-degree angle. You can have trapezoids like this because it fits the definition. If you just need at least one pair of parallel sides, this side right here and this side right here, those are actually our bases. Those are parallel sides. So it does fit our definition of a trapezoid. So exact same formula, because formulas are our rule we follow for each shape. So we need to figure out what our height is, what base 1 is, and base 2 is. So starting with the height is always how tall the figure is. So if I always told you to think that a little man hiking to the top of it, the little man's going to stop right here at the top and drop a ball straight down. So this side right here is actually the height. So the height is 6 feet. We then need our two bases. Our height always makes a right angle with our two bases. So these two sides right here, we'll call this one base 1, and this one base 2. Those are our bases. So base 1 is 10, base 2 is 8. So now we have all of our variables, so we're going to plug everything in. So area equals 1/2, you can use 0.5, times the height, which is 6, times 10 plus 8. Follow your order of operations and do your parentheses first. Area equals 1/2 times 6 times 18. So now we're going to multiply left to right. Area is 1/2 of 6, or 0.5 times 6 should be 3. Then you multiply 3 times 18, and you should get 54 square feet for the area. Okay, so those are your two different types of trapezoids. You may have one with a 90-degree angle side, or it could look like that. Either or are going to be in your practice. So when it comes to word problems, I just wanted to show you how I would tackle a trapezoid word problem. So I always like to draw the figure just because I'm a visual learner and I think it helps me out a lot. So a section of a deck is shaped like a trapezoid. So I know I'm working with a trapezoid. So I'm going to go and draw my trapezoid on my paper. Does not have to be perfect, just has to look like a trapezoid. So the length of one base is 27 feet. So I know that this is one of the bases right here. So I can label this 27 feet. And the other base is 34 feet. So that would be this one up here. The width is 12 feet. So I know we normally use the word height when we're talking about a trapezoid, but if you're actually talking about a deck that is laying on the ground, it doesn't really have a height in the shape. You actually want to think of it as width. So how wide is your deck? So you will sometimes see the word width used when you're talking about something laying on the ground, but they're really actually talking about the height of the trapezoid. So we know that the height or the width is 12, and we need the area. So using the same formula, 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. So we know height is 12, base 1 is 27, base 2 is 34. We're going to plug everything in. Area equals 0.5 times the height of 12 times 27 plus 34. We're going to add 27 plus 34. Area equals 0.5 times 12 times 61. Now we're just going to multiply left to right. 0.5 times 12, or 1/2 of 12, is 6. So you have 6 times 61, and you should get 366 square feet. Okay, that's it for area of trapezoids. So we're going to get to work, and we have a practice to do to practice finding area of trapezoids, and then you have a 5-question formative to do